Welcome back to the Indusoft Web Studio video training series for version 7.1. Today we're going to take a quick walkthrough of the user interface and the various menus and ribbon and tools that you have access to in Indusoft Web Studio version 7.1. In version 7.0 we switched to the ribbon interface across the top here that's very similar to Microsoft Office 2007 and 2010. And what you have here is a set of tabs across the top, and those will change depending on what features are being used in the product. And then you have these groups that are logically segmented into different items within those groups. It makes sense to be within those. And what I'd like to also do is point out to you that the quick access toolbar up here contains some items that are things that are, again, as the name implies, quick access. You can also modify this. You can modify what's up there. You could add more commands. You can drop it below the ribbon, and you can even minimize the ribbon using this interface, which you can also do by right-clicking here. Let me see if I can right-click on a non-space there that could get on the video screen. There we go. And you can minimize the ribbon and give yourself some more screen space. I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. So what I'd like to do is go through some of these tools and features and explain where things are at and what they're used for from the most basic level. So we can start here at the ribbon at the Home tab. We have the cut, copy, and paste from the clipboard. Local management, if you're going to run the project on your local PC, you can run and stop that from here. Also, there's tasks listed here, so you can see that during runtime what tasks are running. And you can also get at, here's how you would launch the Indusoft OPC server. You can click on this and hit start, but you can see what other tasks are running here as well. If we are connected remotely to a remote device, you can connect by using this tool and either using an IP address directly over an Ethernet connection or any type of network connection that supports TCP/IP. You can get through, let's say, using a radio modem, even a dial-up connection, or satellite, let's say, or a cell modem as well. You can connect using serial or even Microsoft ActiveSync to connect to Windows CE and mobile devices as well. Once you're connected, this will show you the status and what type of runtime you're connected to. You can even install and update system files as well as connect to a project and save and download, or download and send individual files or the entire project, and keep newer files will help reduce the traffic, make the downloads quicker. You can stop and run projects remotely as well. You can import, you can pull a project back off of a remote device, and you can also use this to get individual log files as well, and you can use this to license remote embedded runtime as well. So as we've mentioned, the licensing and the registration tool in the previous video, you can do this here for remote devices as well. So something to point out, once you've connected to a remote device, you can click on OK, and it will keep the connection alive, and then every time you save part of your project, it will be automatically downloaded to that remote device. Here you can get at the database spy and logwin and the remote options that are similar to this database spy in this output window. In the local runtime, we call this the output window. When we remote connect to it, or the runtime version, it's called logwin. And here are some tools. You can do a verify to clean up the project database and make sure there's no errors and make sure that it's optimized. We can do an import wizard. We can convert resolution either up or down in resolution, but you don't necessarily need to do that because we do also have an auto scale feature as well that will allow you to run on any resolution that you can pretty much that you can imagine. We can register ActiveX controls on the local machine, and if you have an ActiveX object that doesn't have its own installer, you can use this tool or right from the command line to register those controls. Here we have access to some tag functionality, some replace, global replace, reset tags database. We can use this object finder here and a cross-reference and get at properties of individual tags. For example, if I was to use this tag name object finder here, I'll also take a look here at the output window. There's the log tab and the cross-reference. We'll come back to that in a moment down here. But here in the Object Finder, if I open this Object Finder, now I can scale this or resize this list, and this has all the different tags that are available in my project. Now, for larger systems that are multiple thousands of tags or hundreds of thousands of tags, we support up to 10 million tags. It's going to be important to note that this system actually filters the tags if you are necessary. So I can filter based on Boolean tags, integer, real, string, class type tags, or even system tags. I can find all these system tags that are integer. And another thing that I can do is I can go back here to project, which will show me all the tags. If I want to find, let's say, a particular tag, but I know it starts with the letter F, maybe it's this food step message here, I can just start typing what I think I know it is, F, O, and there's the food step message right there. So it will sort that list, not sort that list, but filter that list and only show me that start with those beginning characters. I can also here choose that tag. I'll say OK. Now I can do this cross-reference, and what this cross-reference will do is this will show me down here in the cross-reference tab of the output window all the places within this project where that tag is used. It's used in several different scripts on several different lines, as well as it's used in the food screen and its object ID number 41. Convenient feature, we can double-click on the food line item here. This will not only open up the project, or not only open up the screen, but will also open up the properties associated with that particular object. And now we can see where that is and modify it or take a look to see how it's configured if necessary. And we can do the same thing in scripts as well. So here's the script associated with it, and here's that particular tag. Now something else it's interesting to point out. Here I have the food screen and scripts associated with that. I can right-click on this and set a new vertical tab group or horizontal group, and I can kind of split screen this, and I can edit my screens with objects as well as simultaneously work on the script side by side. So that can be done with the symbol library in a screen, two different screens side by side, and while you can't copy and drag and drop between the two, you can copy and paste between them. So let's close this here and close this, and I won't save any changes to that. So let's continue on. Here down in Database Spy, we can put tags or expressions in here. So not only tag names to see their value or change their value, which is convenient if you are in a hotel or an airplane or not located near the machine or the process. You can actually use this to simulate values or test particular logic that you might have on a screen or in a script where you might not have access to the real controller or the real I/O. In addition to the tag names, you can put mathematical expressions or scripting in here from the built-in scripting language in InduSoft Web Studio and see if your logic is working out and kind of test and watch values. Also conveniently, we have these 4 different tabs here across the bottom, so that if you want to logically group different tags or expression, maybe there's sections of the machine or different parts of the process, steps of the process, you can logically group tags and expressions on their own tab. Now those do get saved when you save your project. The next time you open those will all be there as well. Continuing on across the top, the View tab, you can hide or show different portions of the development environment. So for example, if I want the database spy or the output window, maybe I want some more screen real estate here. Let me insert a screen. By the way, this is the screen attributes, and this shows you information about the particular screen. Here's a description field that's mainly for your documentation purposes, and I highly suggest that you use that. So I've got this screen open here, but maybe I want some more screen real estate. What I might do is go into the View and turn off the output window in the Database Spy so I can get some more screen real estate. Now that's certainly one way to do it, but that's maybe not the best way to do it, or there's some other ways to do that as well. What I can do is go here to this auto hide pins, and I can auto hide the Database Spy and the output window, and now let's put them here across the bottom of the screen, and whenever I hover my mouse cursor over them, I can come in here, use them, add tags as necessary, and then move my mouse off of them, and they will automatically collapse. It's the same true with the output window as well. So let's see. The next thing that I want to do is show, if for some reason you've canceled or hidden your different parts of your development environment and you want to get everything back to the way that it was, you can just click on this Restore Default and it'll put things back to where they were from the beginning. One other checkbox to note is this zoom box. Let's say you have some graphics on the screen, and maybe we have a couple of objects that we want to line up or do something with, and you want to get a little bit closer view. You can go here to the zoom box, and now it will be centrally located where the mouse cursor is, and you can see just exactly what you're doing in a fine detail. So by default that's closed, but I just want to show that you have access to that. Also here on the zoom window, you can change the zoom level of what you're doing. You can also fit this to window, so it'll make this full-size screen fit in the space that you have here. So if I click view fit to window, then it will all fit. That's entire resolution in that space. Sometimes that gets a little bit small on the handles here for the different objects. You do have the ability to right-click and click on grid settings and change the tracker size. That's actually the little handles that you see around here. And by default, if I right-click and then go to grid settings, it allows me to put in a number here between 1 and 5, and I click on OK. And now those handles get just a little bit bigger, maybe make it a little bit easier for me to see. Go ahead and turn those back to 3. And let's see, the zoom area, if there's a particular area on the screen that I want to zoom into, I can choose this and then choose the window that I want to zoom in on, and it'll zoom right in on that. But something to note is now I have this little magnifying glass, and I'm still in this zoom area mode. I'm not in the selection mode. Before I can select objects, I need to turn off that zoom area, and now I'm back into the selection mode, and I can actually do something with the objects once I'm zoomed into that level. Here I have the ability to change the language used in the development environment or the default font in the development environment as well. Also, here across the top, before I forget, is the quick access toolbar, and you can add and remove icons from that. I think I mentioned that before. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize, eventually you will open up quite a few screens or several screens, and one tool that's available here is to close, but you can also choose close all, and it will prompt you if you have not saved a particular screen, but it'll walk you through closing all of those. That's a little bit quicker sometimes. Let's see, continuing on is the insert, and here we can insert tags, classes, translations, screens and screen groups, and a lot of the information that's available in the ribbon is available elsewhere as well. So for example, here under tags, I can go into the Project Explorer Global Project Tags, Datasheet View, and from here I can insert tags as well. There's also the ability to insert the translation. So down here is the translation. So I have multiple places. We try to make it convenient for you as where to grab those things. So here we can do task worksheets, and very similar here on the Project Explorer under the Task tab, we can insert those similar things too. So very similar. If I clicked on alarm, I could also right-click and insert an alarm worksheet here as well. Communications, very similar. Here under the Communications tab, I can right-click and add remove drivers. Here I can also add remove drivers too. So just again, trying to make it convenient for you to have access to whatever you need. And here's where I would add remove drivers, and then I can also have access to varying OOPC clients, TCP/IP worksheets, and DDE. Here's the project, and here's the interface that I'm tied to, the different license levels. Now this menu may look different depending on the license level that you have. If you have a local interface, light interface, and if you've accidentally chosen, maybe you're developing for a desktop environment, but you accidentally chose one of the Windows embedded license levels, there may be a few features that are hidden or unable to select. You may not have realized that you've chosen a embedded license where that feature isn't supported. There's very few of those, but if that happens, maybe you should find out to make sure that you're chosen a license for the Windows environment instead of the embedded. Now, moving on, information. Now this is mainly for documentation purposes, and in a brand new project all of these fields will be empty, but you can fill these in, and I highly recommend it. I can tell you from my experience that I have filled in these fields, and then more than 10 years later gone back to a project and opened it up, and some information was in here, and it helped me to edit that particular project. Now, taking a look at these tabs across the top here in the project are very similar, or are these tabs here in this dialog box, so we can get at information, options, communications viewer, and so on and so forth. So here in the viewer is information about the project. Here's where you maybe turn on your virtual pop-up keypad in the product, communication and preferences, warning messages, what do you want to see, what don't you want to see, and where your default project path is at. Now, something we've added new in the product in version 7.1 is a collaboration system. So here you can configure that, and in version 7.0 we came out with this interface, which is the ability to configure SMTP email settings, which used to be able to only be done via scripting. Now you can do it here and then run the configuration when you start up the project, and then you'll have that pre-configured, similar with FTP settings as well. And you can configure your security system, and you can log on. And then there's web access here as well. In the past, we've had the SMA, the Studio Mobile Access Tabular, where you can see the text versions of this on virtually any web interface. New in version 7.1, we've renamed mobile access. This is kind of our enhanced mobile access, and now you can get at this information via HTML5 interfaces on iPads, on Android tablets, on phones, on web browsers, and it does not have to be Internet Explorer. It has to be HTML5 based, but now you can see some graphics and things of that nature. We'll explore that in future videos. Over here, I mentioned a few different times, we have the Project Explorer. We have the Global tab, which has tag-related information, as well as security setup and groups and users where you can configure those. The Event Logger, translation, and where you configure your procedures and subroutines in here as well. We'll collapse these. Classes, which are similar to structures. And for example, here under tank, we can go into the Datasheet View. We can see we have a set point and a level associated with that tank. We can go back up here, close this. Here under Datasheet View, I want to make sure that you know that these tags, and we'll cover this when we cover the tags database, but these are shown in the order that they were entered. You can actually right-click and sort them in alphabetical order or descending alphabetical order, and here's where you can delete tags and add columns to this, so we can add min and max and units and whatnot in this worksheet as well. Continuing on under graphics, here's where we can have screen attributes and screen scripting for VBScript, and we can get at some information like the background color, selection. Selection, it's good to point out that we can get at the layer here by clicking on Go To and get the object ID number, dive right into that. Range is to send things to the front, the back. Alignment tools, distribute horizontally and vertically. We'll cover these in a little bit more details. Because I have the resolution reduced for this video, you don't see the text next to these shapes or objects, and even this data objects group has been collapsed. But you can get access by clicking on those and pulling those down. So here we have all the different active objects. We have our alarm, event control object, trend control object, and grid. And we'll cover each one of these in a lot of detail in future videos. The symbol library, .NET controls, ActiveX controls, and one of many ways to put a picture on the screen, this being the linked picture. There are several ways. We'll again cover those in future videos as well. And the different animations that we can apply to objects on the screen. Here we have, again, the Project Explorer, graphics. We can talk about screens now that we've inserted a screen, or we can choose to edit additional screens. Now once we have objects on those screens, we can go and format those. And I have several different ways that I can position and move objects on the screen. If you notice here, I can move an object with my mouse, and we will see the position of it down here in the status bar, which shows us the type of license that we have, what object ID it is, the current position, the height and the width, and my current tag count list. We can also use the Format tab to position objects on the screen, both horizontally and vertically, and determine the height and the width of those objects, as well as set some of the styles and fonts. Another way to position objects on the screen, we can turn off the grid and, turn off the snap to of the grid. And now when we have an object selected, I can hold down the Shift key and use my arrow keys, and it will move a pixel by pixel at a time. So you have the choice of either using the format here, where we can move a pixel by pixel at a time, or actually using the tab or the arrow keys while you're holding down the shift. Either way. And let's see, sorry. So once we've got the screens and graphics, we also have the choice of screen groups, which will allow us to logically group some screens and open multiple screens simultaneously. Thin client and web access. Here's our project symbols. Now the project symbols are symbols that we've used in our project from the global library. So this is the global symbol library, and once we've used them in our project, it has made a copy of them into our project symbols, and then it references these project symbols from where we've used them in our project. Let's go on to tasks. Similar to what I mentioned here, we can insert our different task worksheets for trending, recipes, reports, and scheduler and database connections and communications for drivers, OPC worksheets, so on and so forth. Another thing that I should mention down here is the output window. Instead of just using the cross-reference like we did earlier, we can choose the log function, and if we right-click on this, we can get at the settings, and now here we can check these checkboxes, and depending on what we want to try to troubleshoot. Let's say it's is a screen opening and closing, or when is it opening and closing. We could choose the display open and close and the insert date and time, and it will log that down to the millisecond when that display open and closed or screen open and closed. So here's some good information. The field read and writes and the protocol analyzer can help us troubleshoot PLC connections, OPC messages, so on and so forth. Log in, log out, or log on and log out are for security messages. But the database messages, just a side note, is that the database messages only show when you are having errors of your database messages. There's another place to actually get at all the database connections, but here this shows only the errors. So I do highly recommend that you show the date and time, because that helps you find out when that's actually happening and occurring in what order. Another often overlooked tab here is the log tags. You can put tags from your tag database, and once you add them to this list, they will show down here in the output window anytime those tags change. So we've gone through the various tabs all across here. I have not shown the help. Here we can get at the context-sensitive help, the help system itself. Let me get this in view here, and we can search and index and open up different information on individual properties and things that you want. One thing to note, if you have the properties window of anything open, including animations, or in this case it's the rectangle, you can use this context-sensitive help and click on the background of the object properties, and it will automatically open up that particular object or that particular animation and jump us right to that spot in the help. Also on the Help tab is the communications drivers and information about the license agreement. You can go right to the Indusoft product website, release notes, get information about your system, which our support staff may ask you for, and as well as product information about what version you're actually running of Indusoft Web Studio. So I think that's it for an interface overview, and pretty soon in the next couple of videos we'll start getting into actual screen creation. So thank you, and hopefully you enjoyed this. Have a great day.